spirits in hell. And Bill Weiss is here with us. And Bill, you were a Christian for a number of years. You had given your heart to the Lord, and you went to bed one night, and what happened?
You're right. I've been a Christian for 37 years. This happened 9 years ago. And we went to bed like any other normal night. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, November 23rd, 1998, the Lord picked me up and took me and dropped me off in a prison cell in hell.
A prison cell?
Right. This is the first place I found myself, was a prison cell. Just like you would imagine.
What was in there with you?
Well, first of all, it's rough-hewn stone walls, bars, just like you would imagine a cell. Filthy, stinking, rotten, and there were demonic creatures in the cell, these two demons that were in the cell.
What did they look like?
Reptilish in appearance.
Yeah.
Large bumps and scales all over its body. One of them, huge jaw, big teeth, claws. I mean, really grotesque, deformed, twisted, no symmetry to their body, everything out of proportion. And they were blaspheming and cursing God. They had a hatred for God, and they directed that hatred towards me.
Were they physically attacking you?
They did. Then they grabbed me, threw me into the wall. I felt bones break. They dug their claws into my chest, ripped the flesh right off, and I saw my flesh hang like ribbons. You have a body in hell. And they had absolutely no mercy. They hate you with a hatred that you can't even imagine.
Well, what happened next?
I was taken out of the cell, placed over next to a large pit of fire, about a mile across, flames raging high in the air, and there were people in this pit, millions of people screaming at the top of their lungs, burning. I could see people burning. I wasn't in the pit, but just to see people being tormented and burning, flesh hanging from them, skeleton forms. There were demonic creatures all around this pit, all sizes and shapes, grotesque, deformed, like I said.
These people in hell, they didn't die, though. They were still alive.
Right, but death is really separation from God.
But, I mean, the flesh was coming off. I mean, they had bodies in this pit of fire?
Right, they have bodies, skeleton form, like hardly any flesh left on their bodies at all. And burning, like I said, you have your full memory in hell. You remember everything. And you don't experience anything good, like you don't get to breathe. There's not enough air to breathe. You're exhausted. There's no strength in your body. You're completely weak, void of any kind of strength. And you're in torment, like I said. I remembered, I thought about my wife up on the earth, and I understood I was down deep in the earth. Okay, that's where hell is right now. There's 49 scriptures that talk about where it's located currently and before Judgment Day. But the point was, I was down there, and I thought about my wife, and I knew I would never see her again. She would never, ever know where I was at. I could never get to her. That thought alone was tormenting.
What about hope? Was there any hope?
There was no hope whatsoever.
None?
None. And that's probably the worst part is, you see, I'm a Christian, so people wonder, how can you go there? Well, I went in a vision. This is an out-of-body experience that comes under the classification of a vision, like Paul had in 2 Corinthians 12:2, where he was caught up in heaven, whether in the body or out of the body, he didn't know. The Lord just showed me that I was left my body. But in a vision, you can experience these same things. And the Lord blocked it from my mind that I was a Christian. He hid it from my mind. There's scripture for all that, but the point was so that I could experience what those people fear there. Hopelessly lost.
Did you have a chance to talk to anybody?
You never get to talk to anyone. You're denied that.
Nobody talks to anybody?
No. There's no conversation. You're left alone by yourself, and there's no mercy over you. There's demons that can torment you. You don't ever get to eat. You don't get to sleep. You don't get to drink. So thirsty. Water one drop would have been so precious, like the rich man talked about. But you're denied all these things. There's different levels of torment, different degrees of punishment, and but there's no nice area. They're all terrible.
Well, this is we're talking about eternity. This is forever. This never stops.
Never stops. That's what's so awful. That, see, the Lord wanted me to experience what they feel, that hopelessness, lost forever.
Well, did you see more demons in hell? Were they there?
There's lots of them there.
Lots of them.
Snakes. There's also maggots, worms, grotesque, deformed spiders. Every grotesque thing you wouldn't want to see is there. And everything has a hatred for man. It's just a hatred.
They hated man and hated God.
Right. Because we're made in God's image, and demons hate God.
Did anybody at that time talk to you about what it was you were seeing? I mean, suddenly you were thrust into this. You must have been terrified.
I was terrified. The fear is beyond belief. I'm telling you, can't even imagine the fear level. And I experienced fear here in life. I was attacked by a shark once, pulled down by a 9-foot shark, and that fear that I felt paled in the comparison of what you feel in hell.